Hello, welcome back to Mij Tech Hacks, welcome back, and this is Innocent Junior. So last time we were talking about type conversion, or in our last tutorial we were talking about data like we are talking about variables and data types. So we discussed and looked at different data types, that is the integer data type, we looked at the string data type, we looked at booleans, and we also looked at floats. So we appreciated very many operations, that is the arithmetic operations and everything that is concerned with the previous data types that we looked at. So in this tutorial we are going to look at how we can undergo type conversion. How can we convert from one data type to another data type? So Python lets you, or Python has this feature that enables you to convert values from one data type to another, and this is called typecasting or type conversion. For example, if we are to convert to an integer, if it is a string and we want it to convert to an integer, what do we do? Let's first of all open our IDE and then go through this. If we have something like this, let's see. If you have something like this, let's open our IDE. If you have something like this, if you have our value, like you can open our document, we said that we follow along using our PDF. So in our PDF we have something like x is equal to 25. What is that? How do you understand that? Is this an integer or is this a string? Remember, a string, we always said that a string will always be enclosed in either double quotes or single quotes. Let's first of all try to find out which kind of data type is this. Let's try to print the type of x. Print type, data type of x. Which data type is this? Let's try to put and then see which data type is this. So this is a string. It is, so someone might see 25 and then think that any number that does not have a decimal point, it is what? It is an integer. No. This is Python takes it to be a string. Why? Because it is inside the double quotations, or because it is inside the single quotations. How can we make Python understand that the type of data type that I want to refer to here is an integer? So that, because right now where this 25 is, I cannot do math calculations, I cannot do math operations like addition, subtraction and division. Let's try to do, because you cannot use those operations in strings. We don't like, it doesn't support that. You cannot say that let's say the string is age and then you say age plus 5. You cannot have age 5. No, that cannot happen. So we first of all need to convert this x into an integer so that Python can recognize it as an integer and then be able to perform the math calculations. And how do we do this? Let's try to clear and get rid of this. So we shall come and if we want to convert our x that is now a string to an integer, we shall say x is equal to int. We first of all type the type of data type that we want to convert it into, like in our PDF that we have right now here. We first of all type int. We want to convert to integer, so we first of all type int and then open the brackets and then convert x. Remember, our x is already 25, or you can even write it. Let's try to write it the same way, but it is the same. What is there up is the same as this, so we shall have it as 25. Let's try to print the type of x. Remember, now the type of x is going to be an integer, because Python does this like executes code in the order from line 1 to line 2 to line 3 and the lines that are going down here. So we first of all defined x as a string, and now the same x is being turned into an integer. Let's try to verify which type of data type is this. So it is the type of data type that we are having is now an integer because we have converted it. So now after converting it, we are able to do integer operations like addition, subtractions, and so on. So that's one way we can convert a string into an integer. So long as it is consisting of numbers, we can easily convert that string into an integer. So I think we have seen that. Let's try to go back into our document and see. Let's try to go back into our document. So we have converted. So let's try to check y. Let's try to see that if y is equal to 3.9, is it a float? How can it is a float, and how can we convert it to an integer? Let's try to see how can we convert this float to an integer. How can we convert this float to an integer? So in our document we have it as y. Let's try to get rid of this. Y is equal to 3.9. And from what we discussed yesterday, everyone knows here that this is a float, because we said that a float is a number with a decimal point. Let's try to see which type of data type is this. Print type y. Which type of data type is this? Of course this is a float. Let's try to rush into this and then we find out, of course this is a float because it has a decimal point. So how can we convert this float to an integer? We use our document. We shall say that if we want to convert to an integer, we shall say that y is equal to int y, because that y is the same as the 3.9. Now let's try to print the data type and see. Let's try to print the data type and see. Print type. This is print type y. Let's try to print and we see. So in the first case it will be a float, and in the second case it will be an integer. I hope everyone knows why it is happening like that. In the first it is the float, which is 3.9, but in the second case we have converted it to an integer, and converting it to an integer, it truncates. What is the meaning of the word truncates? Truncates is not like rounding off. Truncates, for it cuts off anything that is after the decimal point, irrespective of how close is it to the next number. For example, this is 3.9. If we were to round it off, it would become 4.0. Oh yeah, it would become 4. But we don't round it off, we undergo truncation. And truncation means we cut everything that is after the after the decimal point, and we leave the first digit or the first whole number as it is, irrespective of how close the next digit is. So we undergo truncation. That's how we convert a float to an integer. That's how we convert a float to an integer. So when you try to print x and y, it will give us 25 and 3. How can we convert to a float? From our document or from our PDF, we have something like, let's try to get rid of this. We have something like our variable a is equal to, let's try to see. Our variable a is equal to float is equal to float. Our variable a is equal to, let's first of all, before converting, let's first of all type this as 3.14 as 3.14 into a string. 3.14 So this is a string and we want to convert to a float. Let's first of all see when you print the type of the data type of A. What is it? It is going to be a string, because we said anything that is going to be in a quotation, a double quotation, or in a single quotation, it will always be a string. So I think I'm done illustrating with this, this is how we check a data type, and this is the data type that is here is this and that, isn't it? So we have finished that. I'm not going to be wasting time there. So we know that that is already a string. How do we convert it to a float? We just say that A is equal to float to A. So by doing that, you have converted A to a float, and then let's try to print the data type and see. Print type, then A. It is going to, in the first case it will be a string, and in the second case it will be a float, like as we have seen. So these are our results. In the first case it will be a string, and in the second case it will be a float. So that's how we go about that. So when you try to print our A and B, our first A will be 3.14, and then we can also convert an integer to a float. Let's try to go back to our document. And see. We have gone through this. That is, A is equal to float of 3.14, which was a string, and then it has become a float. So B, which was an integer, has become a float with a decimal point of 0. So that's how we can go on converting to a different data type. How can we convert to a string? Let's say age is equal to 20. How can I convert this 20 to a string? How can I convert this 20 to a string? For example, if we have our age equaling to 20, let's first go back to our IDE and see. Let's clear this. Our age is equal to 20. Age is equal to 20. So how can we convert this 20 so that we concatenate and it is a string? So we shall have the message. The message says that our message, which is MSG, will be our string, which is I am. Let's try to create a space here. I am. Then we are trying to concatenate it with a string. We shall convert this string into the string age. Where you see that 20, we are going to convert it. Python is going to take it as a string, whereby it will just, you are not going to just put age, because age is an integer right now. But if you want to concatenate and to put that 20 as it is in this message of ours, we shall first of all convert to a string, and then I am, then plus, this is called string concatenation, plus years old. So let's try to print our message and see. Print message. Again. So it says I am 20 years old. What if we didn't undergo this what if we didn't change this age? What if we didn't change this age into a string? What would happen? Let's see. What if we didn't convert this age into a string? Let's try to see. We should get a trace back automatically. We should get a trace back, because we cannot. It will tell you that can only concatenate string to a string, but not a string to an integer. Can only concatenate a string to a string, but not a string to an integer. I think we saw this in the earlier case. So if you have the age 20 and you want to put it into your message directory, the best thing you will do is to first of all convert this into into a string, and I think when we try to run our program again, it will print I am 20 years old. So Python will not tolerate nonsense. It will always show you the laws it is operating upon. I hope you are enjoying the lesson. I hope you are following along. Remember, we said that we can get to our PDFs through going to our YouTube platform, and then going to our official page, which is MiGTechAxe. Then on MiGTechAxe, we go to more links, and then we scroll down and find out document files and courses. In document files and courses, when you click that link, it will take you directly to this folder, which is Python complete course. And when you click, you'll find out our full Python course that we are following along with, and then the first module that we are handling, and that is module 2, which is variables and data types, So that is it. That's where we are, and we are appreciating it. So we have printed our message, and we are good to go. So how can we convert to a Boolean? It is the same. Let's try to print. If we have our variable a, let's try to create something like our variable a is equal to bool 0. Let's try to say our variable a is equal to bool 0. How can we know that this is false and this is true? So Python has a simple principle on which it operates. Anything that is 0 and anything that does not contain any character will always be false. So anything that is 0 and anything that contains no character, like for example this empty space here, this empty quotes here, it will always be false. Let's try to do this in our IDE. Let's try to get rid of this. So we are going to be converting to a Boolean. So let's print bool 0, or object false. Before even running the program, it tells you that it is false. Anything that is 0, it will always be false, and anything that has a character inside it, it will always be true, and anything that does not have a character, it will always be false. Let's try to print bool 1 and try to get our value. Bool 1. The first one will be false and the second one will be true. False and then true, which is good to go. So anything, let's try to print an empty space. Let's just say that this is print empty quotes. Print bool empty quotes. This is bool. Let's try to run our program. So it will be false, true, false. False, true, false. Like that there. So those who are following along, I think you are appreciating this. So when you print bool else, it will tell us true because there is something inside which is not 0 and which is not an empty space. So that's what we call data, or that's what we call type conversion or type casting. We shall go to our next phase, that is getting user input, and this is a very interesting stage. And I would like you to pay much attention. We have functions. Python has a lot of functions in it. We have a lot of built-in functions. We shall also construct our own functions that we shall always use a def function to define them. When we reach to functions, we shall see how we handle functions and how we create our own functions. But before that, we are going to be dealing with the built-in functions, the functions that are built in with Python. The first function that we looked at is the print function, and we know how to use the print function. We said that if you are to print something, if you are to print a string, we always put it in 2 quotes. And if you are to print a variable, we just write the variable like as it is, then we just put the name of the variable and then print. So the second function that we are coming across is input function. So the input function always returns a string. The input function always returns a string. Please always don't forget this sentence. It is very, very crucial. It is very, very crucial, because you might prompt a user to type in like something that an age without converting. That's why we first of all undergone through converting or the type conversion. So you might type in something like enter your age, and then the user enters 25. That 25 will always be taken as a string, and that's why we are saying that the input function always returns a string. If you need a number, you must first of all convert it. You will undergo the process that we have been discussing earlier in type conversion. For example, let's have this into our IDE and then do the practice. Remember, we practice by writing real code but not participating passively. So let's go and tackle this. We have name. Name is equal to input. So this input, this input function, it is a function that prompts that the user, like if the user is interacting with the program, this is the function that enables us to ask questions, for the user to put in or for the user to enter in. So if you want to ask the user's name, we shall first of all activate the input function, and then everything that will be a prompt that will appear on the user's screen on the user's interface, and prompt them to enter what we have asked them accordingly. So we shall ask them to enter their name, and everything that the input returns will always be a string, irrespective of what. If you need to convert it to any other data type, then you must perform a conversion manually. So let's try to enter this. We shall say that enter your name. Enter your name. Enter your name. You shall know why we are putting that. When you are printing this, first of all, do this, because many people here want to test by seeing. Let's try to see. Enter your name. Then age is let's try to say age is equal to input. Enter your age. Enter your age. Enter your age. Enter your age. Yeah, so now let's try to print and see. Print name. Let's try to print name. So let's first of all clear out this error. This input enter age. Let's try to print out name, and this is what comes on our screen. Print name. Print name. And this is what comes into our screen. So you see, enter your name. So why did we leave in our PDF? It has something like this. It has something like this. It has something like this and that. So those things are not part of syntax, but they are part of presentation. They are part of making your work look readable, making your code look readable, making the interaction look user-friendly. So if we had something like, let me rerun the program and see, we have what we first wrote and what we are writing at the moment. Let's try to see. Let's rerun the program and see. let's try to clear this, then give the terminal. Let's try to rerun. So in the first case we had enter your name, but this where we were supposed to put the information, we are going to type exactly on the exactly on the prompt. So for us to improve user interface and to improve the way we interact with our programs, like better display, we put this and then a space that enables you to put our name. Like if we want to type Innocent, so it will ask you to enter your age. Since I'm entering my age, which is 24, so Innocent is, it returns Innocent as my name. Why hasn't it returned 24? Because we have not told it to print 24. So it will print only what you have told it to print. It has, you have told it to print a name, and it has printed the name that you entered earlier. So if it tells you to enter your age and then you type age 24, that's why we need to use things like these ones for us to improve our display on the IDE or in the terminal or in our interaction. So let's try to put enter the and then print both the name and the age. Print the age. Let's try to see. Enter your name and then enter your age. Enter your name. My name is Innocent, and that is it. Then my age, let's say that it is 34. So the name, it prints the name as Innocent and then the age as 34. So that is it. So let's try to use our F strings that we used earlier. Let's try to use our F strings so that we try to do some concatenation. We said that concatenation can be done in very many ways, but the most modern way is use of F strings. Concatenation is adding a string and the data or the values of the expressions. For example, if our value after entering our name was Innocent and our value after entering our age was 36, but how could we form a sentence that is consisting of these two values? That's how the F strings come in. That's how they help us to fit the data or the calculated data or the results of the expressions or the results of the prompts into a sentence that comes up with the meaning. So let's try to see and then print. Shall open our F strings, and we said that F strings are denoted by small letter f. F strings are denoted by small letter f, and anything that you want to feed into, we shall always use those brackets, the curly brackets. So anything that is outside the curly brackets, we shall be considering it as a string that is outside an expression. So we shall say that hello, something that we want to use to construct our sentence. Any space that you put, it is recognized by Python. Hello, so we want to feed into our name, since we are using the curly brackets to feed in the results of the expressions or the results of the prompts. We shall put the name of our variable. So where the name is, it will always go there. After you getting prompted by writing your name and then your age, we shall print a string that greets you, and that string will be consisting of your name and your age. But we want to see how could we feed this data into this string. So hello, let's say hello Innocent, comma you are. The system will tell us the age according to what you have entered. You are. Age is that, which is yes. Oh, but we know it that what will this input for age return? We know that it will return a string, and here in this case it will print like as we expected. But we shall go further to do some calculations with this age. If you want to increment this age, or if you want to change this age and then make it your age is this, and in 10 years time you'll be this. In 10 years time is like adding 10 years to that age that you have. So we shall not be able to perform any calculation here because the input that is being returned is a string, and we are going to see that. But in this case, this is going to print. This is going to print, and let's close here. Let's try to print, and then we see. So it will ask us to enter our name, which is Innocent. My name is Innocent. My name is Innocent, and then my age is 34. So it will print, hello Innocent, you are 34 years old. So if the program asks you to write your name, it prompts you to enter your name and then to enter your age, and then gives you a warm greeting like, hello Innocent, you are 35 years old. Nice to see such a program, and you have built your first program. You are happy, you clap, Mage Tech Hacks. So let's try to perform an operation. We didn't do any conversion here, and remember, without doing any conversion, Python will always take anything irrespective of whether you have entered the age as 25. It will take it as a string because it is in double quotes or it is in single quotes. So let's try to see and then print out something that involves an operation. So we shall open our if string. Next year, like as we have it in our PDF, next year you will be, so we are going to put our expression, that is age plus, that is an operation that we use, as far as integers are concerned. Now for you, we are taking it into account. We are taking it by default that the age, this goes to all those people who are here and they think that if you type in 25, Python takes it directly that this is an integer. No, you have to undergo conversion. Let's put the 25. Here it won't show you an error, and we have 0 errors and we have 0 warnings. But when we try to run our program, what shall we find? We shall find a very big traceback. Let's see. Let's try to enter our name. This is Innocent. The file will run because Python executes program line by line. So it will first of all look at line 1. It is prompting us to put our name. So we shall enter our name. Then line 2, it will go to line 2 and it is prompting us to put our age, and we are going to put 23. But as we are trying to calculate, we are going to put 25. But as we are trying to undergo this operation, as we are trying to evaluate this expression, it tells us that can only concatenate a string to a string, not a string to an integer. Therefore, you cannot perform the calculations here. You cannot perform the calculations here because this age is a string and this 25 is an integer. So the best way to do, if you want to perform calculations in the future and you are sure that I will need calculations, is to convert to an integer like that. Let's try to run our program and see how it prints. We expect it to be 20. If we entered our age as 25, in the years to come, it will be in 1 year to come, it will be 25 plus 1. So we expect it to print 26, isn't it? Okay, let's see. Enter our name. My name is Innocent. And I'll enter my age as 25. Then you'll be, next year you'll be 26. I hope someone has appreciated something here. I hope someone who is following up with me has appreciated that for us this input function will always return a string, and for us to be able to perform future calculations, and if you have entered the number, we shall always need to convert that into the data type that we are interested in. Therefore, clear off this and then tackle the next thing on the agenda. Someone is appreciating, and I'm sure by doing this, by coding along, you are appreciating this and type conversion. I'm giving these things time. Someone may say, hey, the guy is explaining type conversion, the guy is explaining user input, but he's using 2 hours, he's using 1 hour. We are moving step by step. We want to not to leave any stone unturned, and we shall always practice with the little that we have until we go to things like object-oriented programming and things like web development, where we shall enjoy. But you can only enjoy Python only and only you have mastered the fundamentals, only and only when you have mastered the foundations. When we reach at that stage, when we are well conversant, when we are acquainted with everything, we shall do our Python, we shall move with our pace, we shall do things in a speedy manner. But right now, we are just getting we are just being introduced to a new language. Imagine you are speaking English, and someone takes you to France. They tell you, they start speaking France. Could you really hear anything? But if they start explaining to you that when I say this, I mean this. When I say this, I mean this. Slowly by slowly, you will start concatenating issues. You start adding events, and then at the end of it all, you also start speaking French like you are speaking English fluently and in a speedy manner. So we are moving steadily, we are moving step by step, and I want us to move like that till we reach a stage whereby we are going to do things at our pace. So allow me for these first foundations to go deep into explanation. Let us waste time, but when it is really worth wasting. So we know now that we have come along with 2 functions. Right now we know the print function, that it will print things on the terminal, and then the input function will always prompt a user to enter the required input into the terminal. So that is it. Let's try to go to our document and we see. So we have appreciated this, and hope someone who has followed along can now tell a story. So the key concepts we have covered the variable naming rules. We appreciate name, these are plain letters, and the mistakes that are always invalid. Someone may start with a number, cannot start with a digit or a number. So someone may write a variable starting with the to name. That is not right. So it is always plain letters. Or you can even write plain letters and then end with a number. That is fine. But if you start with a number and then the letters following along, this is very wrong, and this is the right way of naming variables. So another key concept as far as variable naming, the user name. We use the underscore separator or the snake case Python standard to use, like if you want to separate 2 words, and it is in that variable is 1 variable, but it is consisting of 2 words. We shall always use what we call the underscore. It is there on your keyboard. You look for it. The programmer, you are not just being introduced to keyboard keys. So we shall use the underscore, and this is it. It is there on your keyboard. You will just press above. You just press and then get it. So it is always near that plus or addition sign, but I don't want to go through where the keys on the keyboard. I think you know that. I don't want to. So the invalid names is using the hyphens. These are not allowed. That hyphen. So let's try to see. Username is equal to, let's try this into our ID. You know, I like opening this IDE because it is what illustrates us. It is what shows us that this is a mistake and this is true. Let's try to see. Let's try to see that. Let's try to enter the username using the right way. Username, right way of naming is equal to innocent. Username is equal to a string. Let's say it is equal to innocent, which is a string. It is equal to innocent, which is a string, and then let's try to use the hyphen. Username is equal to string innocent. The hyphens are not allowed. Let's try to see. Print print. The print function is a very big factor as far as debugging is concerned. Debugging is knowing, is there a mistake? Is there a mistake? Is there a mistake in our program? So we use always the print function as a debugger. Print username. Let's try to see. The first username will start with the small letter, and this one for us to differentiate them. So let's try to see to print the first username that starts with the small letter Innocent, and that will be username, and print username Innocent. Let's try to see this traceback. Cannot assign to expression here. Maybe you meant username. Maybe you meant this instead of that. Let's try to see. Cannot assign to expression. So username is always consisting of, let's try to say input. Let's try to put something like input. Now this is what I mean by us coding together. We undergo the mistakes together, and we appreciate together. So we cannot just assign a username to a string. We need to something that prompts us to enter that string and then later go on. So we have appreciated that today. Let's say input, enter your name, enter your username, enter username. Then this username is also telling us to enter input, you enter username. Let's try to clear this and then Control C, Control V. Let's try to kill the terminal and then rerun. So the first one will prompt us to enter input. Cannot assign to expression. The other first thing of ours is fine, by the way. But since Python, we could first of all type since Python executes program, this is fine. But when it goes to this, the program crashes. Cannot assign. Maybe you meant this. Let's try to first of all get rid of the second one as a test case. Let's cut this and then put it here. Control V. Let us put this in the second line and then see. Username. Cannot assign expression. Let's try to get rid of this. Here the terminal and the sim. So we shall enter the name, and this is very okay because we have used an underscore. What if we change this underscore to something like a hyphen? That's what we wanted to test, and then even here we put it as a hyphen. So you see, Python already, you cannot, there are already two warnings. What are these warnings? Let's click and see. What are these warnings? What are these warnings? There are already two warnings. User is not defined, violence, then user is not defined. So this username is not defined. It is not defined. So we see that the hyphen is not allowed in any conversions. It is not allowed in any conversions. That is it. So let's go back to our document and try to investigate more. Age, 2 letters, then numbers. This is very fine. Like as I told you, you can first of all write the letters and then numbers. It is very fine. My name, no spaces allowed. We cannot separate using spaces, like my name and then you put spaces. Then this is very okay. You start with an underscore, the prefix, and then conversion for the variable. This is very fine. But then class reserved keyword. So we cannot use reserved keywords as reserved keywords, for example, key, something like print, something, those reserved Python keywords to use them as variables. We cannot use reserved keywords as variables unless we first of all use the underscore you first of all use the underscore as the prefix and then write that specific keyword. So total amount is okay. That is the camel case. Also it is valid, but less common in Python, whereby you write the whole word. You write the word, and then as separator you write it as a capital. So for you to include that these are two words, it is also verifying, but we use 4. 4 is a Python without. So we shall see. Then checking, we shall go to the next thing. We have known how the best naming convention, the best way of naming our variables, which ones to use and which ones not to use. So let's go to checking the type of a variable. We undergone through that, checking the type of a variable. This is a float, you just type that, that is a string, this is a bool or boolean, and this is a non-type data type. So multiple assignment. Multiple assignment. How do we undergo multiple assignments? So multiple assignments, you can assign a single value to multiple variables. Let's say if you want to assign 0 to x, to y, and then to z. This is the best way to assign multiple values, like to assign the same value to multiple variables. So when we try to print our x, y, and z, it will give us 0, 0, 0. So assign different variables. We should say name, age, city, and then put them. So this is, the name is going to Alice, and then the age is going to 20, and then the city is going to Kampala. So when we print the name, it will take the first one, which is Alice, and then assign different values in one line. So if you want to assign the name, we shall also match the name here. You cannot have name, age, city here, and then you have two things here. Let's try to put this into our IDE, because I have people here who want to experiment by trying. Let's try to have something like this in our IDE. Let's try to have something like this in our IDE. So we have the name, age, and city, and they are assigned as Alice, 20, and then that. What if we have something like this, and we want to print city? Let's try to print city, and we see, because we have 3 values this side, and then we have 2 values this side. Can that happen? Let's try to see. That's what I wanted to explain. Let's try to print city and see. Let's try to print city and see, city variable. It is telling us trace back. Not enough values to unpack. Expected 3, got 2. So if you are to assign the number of values that are on the left hand side, or the variable names should match with the variable values. So that's what I wanted you to illustrate. Let's say the city is Kampala. So now let's try to reprint and see. You see now the city is Kampala. So this name is matching with this Alice, and then the age is matching with the integer, and then the city is matching with Kampala. So let's try to go back to our document. See? So that is how we could assign multiple values to a single variable, and that's how we could assign different values in one line. So we shall go further in our next to cover constants, that is conversion. Constants. Python has no built-in constant keyword. By conversion, use all uppercase names for values that should never change. So, and for values that will never change, we shall always use all our variable names should always be uppercase, and we shall always define these at the start of the program, because they are not going to change. We shall always define this at the start of the program. So something that is not going to change throughout the program, and we shall be referencing it upon, or we shall be referencing it on to, is what we call a constant, and it will not be changing throughout the program. And we shall be using uppercase letters to define it. So for example, pi never changes throughout the program, so we write pi with the uppercase letters and then assign it to 3.14159. Then the maximum age will never change, then the country will never change, something like that. Python won't stop you changing this, but all caps. Then name signals to other programmers. These are names, do not change this. These are name signals to other programmers. So even if other programmer opens your program and sees this country equals to Uganda, they will just know according to Python naming conventions that this is a constant, because we have used uppercase letters. For every programmer to understand your program, let's try to explore some mistakes that we beginners, including me, that you always commit. Mistake 1, we always use a variable before it is created. You cannot use a variable before it is created. You now, from nowhere, you come and say print score. Let's try to go into our IDE. We experiment this, because I know people want experimentation. So let's try to get rid of this and then try to say print sit. Print sit. What is the sit? Print sit. So which already has problems before even you continue. Sit is not defined, so we cannot print variables that are not defined. This is very different from print sit like this. People would say, but this is defined. This is a string, and it is already defined as a string. So when you say print city, it will print the city because it is a string and it is defined as a string, and that is not a variable. It is a string sit. So take keen note of that you cannot print something that is not defined. You cannot print something that is not defined. So that is to trace back very like that, and we are following up. So let's try to go back to our document and try to explore things up. The correct way is to first of all define, or is create first and then later go on to print. That is the first mistake many beginners like us make. Then mistake 2 is forgetting to convert input into a number. So like if you have your age, like last time as we were doing some samples or some examples, if you have your age and in the later case you want to perform some operations, you will not perform those explanations before you perform a type conversion, and it will raise a type error. A type error cannot concatenate string to string, but it can only concatenate. It cannot concatenate a string to an integer, but can only concatenate a string to a string. So the correct way is to first of all convert. If you know that if you know that this age is really supposed to be an integer, we should always first of all convert, because by default we know that input will always return to a string. So for us to get an integer, we shall first of all convert it to an integer and then be able to perform our math calculations exactly. Then mistake 3 is confusing assignment with comparison. This is assignment. The equal sign shows us assignment, but the double equal signs is comparison. Like if we have entered something like the if logic, we shall enter that the conditional statements, that is comparing. If this is this, do this. If this is equal to this, so the double equal signs are comparison, and then the single one is you are giving a variable its value, but the other one you are comparing. Is this, if this is this, there is a condition there. That's why we have an if here. So x is equal to 10. So if you say if x is equal to 10, this is very wrong. This is, you are like, if x is equal to 10. This is not a condition. This condition is not true. So it is supposed to be if x is equal to 10 by using these comparisons. So double equal signs illustrate comparison, and single illustrate assignment. So that those are some of the mistakes that you might encounter. Then mistake 4 is string plus number concatenation without conversion. We have seen this. You cannot get this age without converting it to a string. The first thing, the correct thing you will do, you first of all convert this age to a string, and then later go on to do your printing. So that is it. So mistake 5 is mixing up variable names, that is case sensitivity. So we have name as Alice, then we print name. Yeah, this is another mistake. You cannot. We said that Python is very sensitive, is very case sensitive. So when you write the variable as name starting with a small letter, and then later when you are printing you use a capital letter or use an uppercase letter, Python will take this as something that is unknown, something that is not defined. So name and name are two different variables. Python is very case sensitive. So you are supposed to be consistent in naming your variables. If you have used a small letter, even when you are printing, you should use a small letter. So summary, the quick reference sheet, we have create a variable, no type needed. We don't need to say that this is int. Then string is always single or double quotes. Then the integer is a whole number without a decimal point. And we have also come to appreciate that a float will always be a number with a decimal point. Then a Boolean is either a true or false. Active is equal to true. So a Boolean will always return a true or false. Those are two only values. Then none will return a non-data type or something that is empty. So no value returns as none. Then check type, we should just type that and then returns the type. Then to convert it, you need to first of all need the type of that I need to convert to, like int into 20. It will go directly to an integer. Then converting to a float, it will go directly to a float. Then converting to a string, it will go directly to a string. That's 20, it will go directly to a string. Then user input, the prompt always returns the string, not anything else. That is by default. And if you want something else, you could go into manual conversion. The F string, it is used in the modern string formatting and modern string concatenation. Then the multi-assignments, they must be the number of values on the left hand side should be equal to the number of values on the right hand side for unpacking to take place correctly. So we are going to, in the next session, I'm going to leave you with this exercise. This is the guided exercise, and we are supposed to solve this together. So we have told us that create variables to store your name, age, city, and favorite programming languages. To print all the four on separate lines. Create variables to store your name, age, city, and favorite programming languages. Print all four on separate lines. Let's try to undergo this exercise and see how to go about it. So the instruction tells us that we should create variables to store our name. Let's first of all create a variable to store our name. So let's say that my name is equal to Innocent. Let's say, okay, let's use what is in the PDF. Our name is Alice. My name is Alice. Then Alice has a 20 of age, because they have told us to create variables to store our age. So we have stored our name into a variable called name, and then we want to store our age into a variable called age. So that is it. Then we are going to also create the city where we are going to create a city where we are found into a variable called city. So city will be a string, and always strings are in double quotes or single quotes. But if you have decided to use single quotes, use single quotes. If you have decided to use double quotes, use double quotes. Don't mix up things like me. So they have told us even the favorite programming language, and since we are dealing with Python, we shall say that the favorite programming language here which Alice enjoys is Python. It's Python. Python. So it's Python. So they have told us that print all 4 on separate lines. Remember, if you are to print, we shall print the name, then you go to the next line, print. Remember, Python executes code in the order. So this is very simple. First of all, print the variable name, print name, and then we shall go to again print age, and then we shall go and then print, print city, we shall go and then print language, guys, am I tired? So we shall go and then print language. So let's try to run our program and see. So we are, our name is Alice, then the age is 20, and then the language is Python. So that's it. So we have finished our first exercise, and you get all your marks. So notice how Python stores different data types without you needing to specify that this is a list, this is a string, this is an integer, and this is so and so, this is a float, and so on. So that is our first exercise, and I want to tell you that we are successful in our first exercise. Exercise 2 tells us that use type to inspect the variables. Use type to inspect the variables, int, float, string. We could type something from our PDF. We could get something like this. Let me not waste time typing each at a time. So we have a whole number, we have a decimal, we have a text, we have a flag, we have empty. So let's try to create a to create a variable of each type, and then print its type. Let's try to print the type of which the type of data type of which this whole is. So we shall say that this is print. This is print type, then whole, then whole. What type is whole? It is an integer. Because number, it is class integer. Very good. So clear this. Then what type is the decimal? What type is the decimal? This type. What decimal? What type is the decimal? Let's say decimal. What type is it? It is, of course, a float, because it contains decimals. So what type is the text? Let's try to print the text and know which type is it. This is type. That is text. Like that. So you go on checking. The other one will be, the flag will be a Boolean. Let's try to do the Boolean, print the data type of this flag, print type flag. It will be what? It will be a Boolean, of course. That is bool. So let's kill the terminal. Then the other one is a non-type data type. Print empty. Print type empty. This is type. Empty. And it will be a non-type data type. It will be a non-type data type. So we're good to go. Exercise 2 is also good to go, and that's it. That's how we come along with the solution. Then exercise 3, we shall go with that addition, the modulus, and so on. Try out these and match the solutions that we have, and you see whether you have such and such solutions. Try out those and you see whether you have such and such solutions. Let's try to go back and see. So the next exercise is the arithmetic with variables. Store two numbers, calculate and print their sum, different product, quotients the remainder. So the sum is, if you have A is 15 and B is 4, the sum is 19, of course. Then if you have A minus B, the A which is 4 minus B, which is that is 11. Then multiplication, that will give us 60. Then take note of this. This one means you are going to get both the value and its remainder. That's why you get 3.75. Then the modulus is only interested in the remainder, and that is the remainder 3. Then this is like A square, like A then B square, like you say A then B up. So A power B, this is like A power B. Which for us to get A power B, we just double that and then get into 56. So run each line and understand what each operator does. So string concatenation, you have been doing this and you will practice and you see whether you come up with the same sample output with our strings. Then the age, then converting, I am that 8 years old. So using F strings, then type conversion, converting, and exercise 7, user input prompting. You try out and you see those are the solutions that you must come up with. So those are the exercises, and I like you to try out. There are very many of them. Exercise for meaning profile builder, we come up with something like that. So in the next tutorial we shall go through this mini project. We shall go through this set of so you try out these ones. I'm not going to do with you, but I'm going to create a tutorial for us to do these ones without solutions, and you see how we go about them. We shall go through challenge 1 and challenge 2 and then challenge 3. In that next tutorial we shall also go through challenge 4 and then later tackle our module project, and then this module will be done. So I'm going to do another video for us to only do the exercises and then this module project. Yeah, so we have come to the end of this video, and the module projects that we shall come with should always provide a sample output like this one, and we should always match it as it is. Then the project checklist, program runs without errors, banner is displayed at the start, all 4 details are collected. Solutions, submission instructions. You can save your work as module 2.5. Test the program with at least 3 different sets of inputs. Share your results in the comment sections of the video. Then other people who are following up will try to compare, and then you interact in the comment section. What I would say, every expert was once a beginner, every professional was once an amateur, every master was once a student. Start now, build now, grow now. Innocent Junior Mukwaya, Mage Tech Hacks, Mage Technologies. See you in the next video as we are going to tackle exercises and the solution to this project. We said that we shall be building projects at the end of each module. So this is the project that we are given, and it is the personal profile and calculator system. From everything that we have studied, from installing Python to to print, comments, basic syntax, and then module 2, the variables, the data types, the input, the type conversion, the string methods, the arithmetic, and so on. We are going to wrap it and then build it from scratch, line by line, as together, following the rules, following the requirements, following the objective of the, and then following the expected output for a sample. I remain Innocent Junior Mkwaya, and since this video has entered 1 hour and some minutes, I would say goodbye. We meet in the next coming tutorial where we shall test our skills so far. Please comment, like and share, subscribe. Bye bye. We meet.